while I'm on the theme of mothers, I want to introduce you to my very first fundraising memory. This is a collecting box from an organization called Dr. Barnardo's Homes, which is a childcare charity. And I need to take you back again to the north of Scotland. You seem to be going there a lot. And I want to introduce you to this lady who is my mother. And this is in the 1950s. So in the 1950s, the world was in black and white, and I was in short trousers. I was about 6 or 7 years old. My mother was the area secretary for Dr. Barnardo's Homes. That meant it was a volunteer role, and she had just one thing to do twice a year. She had to put an announcement in the paper, and people would bring in their Dr. Barnardo's home collecting boxes, and the contents, mostly pennies, but sometimes the odd sixpence or threepenny bit, would be in there. And this was emptied onto our kitchen table. It was collecting the money. And it was my job, as a little chap, to count it. The trouble was that there were loads of other charities who used this particular method of fundraising. There was a lot of competition. And so getting people to take the box and to bring the box in was actually quite a challenge. And my mother had a stroke of absolute inspiration. And I think it's one of the best fundraising lessons that I have learned in my life. What my mother did was she let it be known that if you brought in your Dr. Barnardo's home collecting box, you would get a piece of my mother's famous fudge. And my mother made the best fudge in the north of Scotland. And I am not kidding you. My earliest childhood memory is of people clutching their little Barnardo's box to their chest, queuing out our front door. Little people mostly, but sometimes quite big people, and sometimes very big people, clutching their box, queuing out the front door, through the garden gate, down the road, and round the corner, waiting their turn. And of course, there was twice as much being emptied onto our kitchen table, and I was having to work twice as fast to count it all in time. So I thought, well, they get a piece of fudge for bringing in the box. I should get a piece of fudge for counting it. It was only fair. My mother grew to be the most successful fundraiser in the north of Scotland for Dr. Barnardo's Homes. And I grew to be a very large child from too much fudge. This is honestly a true story. But what was brilliant about it was the lesson. You have to give before you get. Reciprocity. I think we've lost sight of that, tragically.